EOS may have had that look for an explosive rally coming, and we've got some action, but is it as explosive as we'd like to see? Well, in the short-term picture, the answer is yes so far. We've had quite the bounce since we hit a low, basically kind of a double bottom situation on March 13th. We had a low that was lower than that on March 7th. So what I'm calling the 1-2 or the AB here still stands, and we are extending powerfully and almost enough to break out of the gravitational pull of this thing. This still could be an ABC up, which is what we're looking at here. Again, this is the 30-minute linear chart. So it could be something like this, A, B, and C. Typically, you have equivalence between the A wave and the C wave. So we would have probably topped around 211 if that were the case. The fact that we're continuing to rally is a very good sign because it still looks like, three-wave structure up, A and a B and a C. And typically your C wave will not exceed the 1.61 extension of the previous AB setup. So if we can break through 225, we've got ourselves something setting up here. If that happens in one shot, that could be a good sign. But more likely, we're going to get possibly close to 1.618, that extension again at 225, or we will pull back from here. We actually had a minor spike down, then bounce back up. This could easily be the first of three waves up. So what we're looking for as a bull or as an optimist is that this is a 1-2. We might already have our third wave in place. We expect a kind of a sideways consolidation for the fourth wave, and our fifth wave would go somewhere between 228 and 233. This is the short-term picture. If that does happen, that will give us another potential five-wave rally up. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we're out of the woods because we thought we had five waves up, and it still looks like we did. This was, again, our bottom on February 24th or so. Maybe that was the fifth wave up, or the fifth wave was up here. So if I rearrange this drawing here, make that our fifth wave top, and then our fourth wave was down here, and that was our third wave, that fits the bill. It looks properly like five waves up, and we had a pretty good pullback. We did not invalidate this because we didn't have a lower low, but we came awfully close. We got to 187. Our invalidation point's about 186. We came within a cent of invalidating this entire setup. But guess what? We saw the exact same thing in the equities world, in the Dow, in the S&P 500. We came pretty close to invalidating our larger 1-2 setup, and then we did it again right here. So if this is the bottom of the larger wave 2, 1-2, we came very close to invalidating this. But by the textbook, by Elliott wave theory, this is still a valid a 1-2 setup, and you could possibly count this as five waves up. And now I've been using Dash as our main indicator of sentiment for the altcoins, and it looks better. And where Dash goes, the altcoins seem to go. Dash seems to rally a little bit quicker than most of the altcoins. And you guys know from, if you are a veteran with EOS or some of these other altcoins like Ethereum Classic, some of these have delayed rallies. They're very backloaded, so you tend to have very underperforming structures to start off. Sometimes your first wave or third wave are kind of smaller and shorter and less explosive than you expect, and then you have kind of a boomerang parabolic thing going on. Dash isn't like that. So the fact that Dash does have what could be five-wave diagonal, or it could be a 1-2, 1-2, not sure. The fact that it's still going up and really break or invalidate anything is a very good sign for EOS and other altcoins alike. So this is what I'd be expecting. Again, sideways consolidation and a fifth wave up. At the same time, however, we are not out of the woods, because if we do start to pull back sharply, well, we'd have to break down below this red line. If we do that, then very likely we will have that lower low. So I'm going to shift the big picture just to demonstrate what that'll look like. Our target retracement point, we actually hit in EOS. We didn't do that in most of the other altcoins, but we definitely did in EOS. That black hole still sits below. That's at about 129, 128. Don't want to get anywhere near that. I'm not seeing, especially on this big picture, any sign that we're going to get down there. We had that spike down again on February 24th. And this is the 1-2, 1-2 that I was referring to on the small picture chart. And we are looking for a bit more of a bit more substantial rally to get us feeling a bit more confident what we got. So when we look at that MACD at the bottom, you can see how we got lower and lower and lower. But meanwhile, our MACD itself shows that we are less and less oversold. And you can actually extend this line all the way back to here. Same kind of story. There's been a divergence. So that's usually a very good sign that we're bottoming and we're starting to turn back up. So we should start seeing this thing get overbought to the upside, which is a healthy sign because we need to see some bullish action. In the big picture, we are nowhere near as stretched as we were in middle of 2021. And looking at that big picture, we had that top in May, along with most of the crypto universe. I know Bitcoin was about a month ahead, but it's been almost a year of correction. So think about that. We've been in this pullback for almost an entire year. This is actually zoomed up a little closer than I like. Put down the daily chart view. So when we look at it from that perspective, it's been a long second wave, but the first wave was even longer than that. So first wave went from the March 2020, everything crashed all the way to May. So it's about 2 years or 1 year and 2 months, about what, 10 months for the correction. So expect the third wave to be explosive and move pretty fast. And it could take even longer. So that gives you a hint on the timing. While I do see some of these patterns as diagonals, we don't have as clear of a time estimate on what EOS is going to do. Look for this third wave to potentially coincide with the equity space. We're looking for a pretty colossal rally into the end of summer, maybe into the fall, maybe into the end of the year. So that's an approximate timing estimate for where we might see a third wave. So think about something like this, definitely before the end of the year. But market does what it wants, and we don't always have a clear timing estimate. So what are we looking for if this thing starts moving? Let me zoom back up. This has gotten very cluttered, unfortunately. So let me put this back on the 4-hour view. We do need to see a proper 5-wave rally, which we may or may not see, because when we look back at our daily chart, our everything rally or our everything crash, followed by the everything rally in 2020, didn't have standardized structures. I'm taking this peak as our first wave, so maybe this is a third, a fourth, and a fifth. We had a very long, slow second wave that pulled back like this, and then you just had a lot of really choppy structures here. Is that a 1-2, maybe a lower degree 3-4? I don't know. Lots of whipsaw, lots of overlap. If anything, this looks like a possibly an ending diagonal. If you put the trend channel line here, it kind of follows it. You even have that throw over at the end where it exceeds the top of the channel trend line. And same thing with the bottom of it. It does fit into a channel. So interesting formation for sure. Expect a lot of whipsaw, a lot of getting, well, a lot of big rallies and big crashes throughout the overall rally. And ultimately, it's all about getting those higher lows. But at the same time, know that once you get to a top in EOS, it tends to absolutely crater like we did. And this thing crashed harder than pretty much any of the other coins that I'm tracking. So don't be surprised if we see similar. In the meantime, expect a small degree first wave to hit somewhere between, was that 484, 480, something like that, to 855. This is a standard expectation based on this larger 1-2. That's between the 0.32 and 0.61 extensions of this larger 1-2. And expect a very quick retrace. If we get this second wave here, that'll be a fantastic buying opportunity for later once we get a 5-wave rally in place, because our third wave will take us a good bit higher, typically between the 1.0 and the 1.236 extensions. This nomenclature is actually not correct. It shouldn't have parentheses on it if I'm not mistaken. So that would take us between $22 and about $40. That would be your third of the third wave. And when I say third of the third, the larger degree third wave would top somewhere up here, potentially between $57 and $103. I'm not sure how quickly or how slowly this will happen. Again, will it align with the equities? Will it align with Bitcoin? It's yet to be seen. Remember, we do have a very good setup. I'm basically counting this as a larger degree 1 and a 2, and a smaller degree 1 and 2. And we're looking for a smaller degree 1-2. So that could be a triple nested 1-2 setup, which would make for some explosive rallying as we go forward. So EOS has a lot of upside, but don't be surprised if we don't follow a standard pattern, because again, we saw a very diagonal-like rally here. So while I have these projections where they are, this could end up being a diagonal. That's what I'm expecting to see in Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, a couple of the other altcoins, in which in that case, you will often see a pattern that looks a little bit more choppy, not as clean. So maybe you have a first wave that goes relatively high, deep second wave crash, nice third wave, whole upward action, then a deep fourth wave crash, followed by a blow off for the fifth wave. Something like that could happen in EOS. I would not rule that out. And if that is the case, each of these legs upward would take the form of 3-wave zigzags, almost like how we can practically interpret this as that. It could be an A and a B and a C wave to finish. So again, it's not for the faint of heart, EOS, and I recommend buying other altcoins too. Don't put everything in one basket. Try out some Dash, some Chainlink, Solana. There's a lot of other altcoins out there. I'm going to be doing plenty more updates as this rally materializes. Very exciting week. We can, there's a palpable sense in the sentiment shifting across many asset classes, we actually saw a bit of a pullback in energy and oil. So subscribe, that way don't miss anything. I just noticed that Ethereum Classic jumped almost 20% out of nowhere. That's a good sign. Whether you like Ethereum Classic or not, shows you there's some sentiment shifting. So if you enjoyed my video, don't forget to give me a like. Until next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.